Death. It's one of the greatest mysteries of existence. For centuries, humans have pondered what really happens after we die. Is it just the end, or is there something more? Science has taken us deep into the mysteries of life, but can it also explain what lies beyond? In this video, we're going to explore what happens after we die, both physically and perhaps metaphysically. We'll look at what science knows, from the breakdown of our bodies to the possibility of consciousness surviving death. And we'll also question whether some things will remain beyond science's reach. So, stick around as we unravel the mystery together. Before we dive deep into the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're all about exploring the big questions, and we don't want you to miss out on our next journey into the mysteries of life and beyond. Let's start with what we do know, the science of what happens to our bodies at the moment of death. The process of death, from a biological perspective, is surprisingly complex. Our bodies are intricate machines, and when they stop functioning, it's a gradual process. First, there's clinical death, the moment when the heart stops beating, blood stops circulating, and breathing halts. Without blood flow, cells in our organs, especially in the brain, start dying within minutes. This marks the beginning of biological death. At this stage, the body begins breaking down on a cellular level. Cells deprived of oxygen start to decay. Enzymes within our cells begin to digest the cell walls, causing tissues to break down. This process is called autolysis. Essentially, the body begins to consume itself, but it doesn't end there. After a few hours, rigor mortis sets in. This is the stiffening of muscles as the body's energy reserves are depleted, causing muscles to contract. Over time, as bacteria multiply in the body, the decomposition process accelerates. This is where our story, biologically speaking, ends. But while this physical process may seem straightforward, it opens up many more profound questions. What about our mind? Our consciousness? Does that just disappear when the brain dies? Or is there more to this mystery? To understand what really happens after we die, we need to dig deeper into the brain and the mind. The brain is where science's exploration of death gets truly fascinating. Consciousness, what makes us aware, gives us thoughts and emotions, is still one of the least understood areas of science. And death raises the ultimate question: does consciousness cease when the brain dies, or does something continue? From a neuroscience perspective, the answer might seem clear. Consciousness, as far as we know, is tied to brain activity. When brain activity stops, consciousness should too. But what about near-death experiences? Near-death experiences, or NDEs, have been reported by thousands of people who were clinically dead or close to it. Many of them describe floating above their bodies, seeing bright lights, or feeling an overwhelming sense of peace. Scientists have been studying these phenomena for decades. Some suggest that these experiences are the result of a brain in survival mode, a kind of last-ditch effort to stay conscious. Others, though, wonder if they hint at something more. Take the research of Dr. Sam Parnia, for example, who studies brain activity during cardiac arrest. He and his team have documented cases where patients, despite having no measurable brain activity, report vivid experiences. Does this suggest that consciousness might exist separately from the brain? We don't have all the answers yet. Science is still grappling with what consciousness really is. But the fact remains, when the brain dies, measurable awareness seems to end. Yet the near-death experience offers tantalizing glimpses of what might lie beyond. Could consciousness transcend the body? We'll return to that question later. But first, let's step outside the lab and explore the rich philosophical perspectives on what happens after death. Long before science existed, humans sought to explain death and the afterlife through religion and philosophy. And while science tries to measure and observe, philosophy and spirituality often ask the deeper, unmeasurable questions. In many religious traditions, death is not an end, but a transition. In Christianity, Death leads to an afterlife in heaven or hell. In Hinduism, it's a step in the cycle of reincarnation, where the soul moves on to another life based on karma. Buddhism, on the other hand, views death as an opportunity for enlightenment and freedom from suffering. Philosophers, too, have wrestled with the meaning of death. Plato, for example, believed that the soul is immortal and that death is merely the soul's release from the physical body. Centuries later, René Descartes echoed this idea in his famous statement, "I think, therefore I am," suggesting that the mind, or soul, could exist separately from the body. But here's the tension. While religion and philosophy offer profound answers, science can only observe the physical world. And this creates a gap between what we believe might happen after death and what we can prove. This brings us to an important question. How far can science really go in answering these mysteries? As we explored earlier, the body undergoes a predictable process after death. First comes rigor mortis, followed by decomposition. This process is driven by the trillions of bacteria that live inside us, now breaking down the body's tissues. While this might seem like an unpleasant topic, it's also a crucial part of nature's cycle. Decomposition isn't just the end of life, it's part of life's recycling process. As the body returns to the earth, nutrients from our cells feed the ecosystem, helping plants and other organisms thrive. This is the circle of life, but for many, the real mystery is what happens to the soul, or consciousness, after death. But let's take a step back from the physical and dive deeper into what science can't fully explain: consciousness after death. As we've touched on earlier, near-death experiences, or NDEs, provide some of the most fascinating insights into what might happen after we die. Reports of NDEs often include vivid descriptions of traveling through tunnels of light, meeting deceased relatives, or encountering a sense of profound peace. These experiences raise an important question. Are they proof of life after death, or simply the brain's way of coping with trauma? Many scientists believe that NDEs are the result of chemical reactions in the brain. As the brain loses oxygen, it triggers a surge of endorphins and hallucinatory visions to ease the mind during trauma. However, there are cases where people report NDEs even when their brain activity was essentially flatlined. How do we explain these experiences? Studies, like those conducted by Dr. Sam Parnia, have shown that some patients had vivid, accurate memories of their surroundings during periods when they were clinically dead. Could this be proof that consciousness exists outside the brain? Or is there another scientific explanation waiting to be uncovered? For centuries, reincarnation has been a key belief in many cultures. From ancient Hindu texts to modern-day past life regression therapy, reincarnation proposes that our consciousness is reborn in a new body after death. Could science support this idea, or is it purely a matter of belief? In recent decades, researchers like Dr. Ian Stevenson have studied thousands of cases where children claim to remember past lives. These children provide detailed memories of places, people, and events they couldn't have known about, often leading to cases being verified. While there's no definitive proof of reincarnation, some of these cases have left scientists questioning what we truly know about life and death. Science fiction often paints a picture where death is conquered by technology. With the rapid advancements in digital technologies, could we one day upload our consciousness into machines, or freeze our bodies to be revived in the future? These concepts are no longer just ideas. They're being actively explored. Cryonics is one method that aims to preserve life beyond death. By freezing the body immediately after clinical death, proponents hope that future medical technology will be able to revive the person and cure whatever caused their death. On the other hand, companies like Neuralink are exploring ways to potentially upload human consciousness into machines. Could we one day live forever in a digital world, even after our biological bodies fail? It's an idea that straddles the line between science and science fiction, but many believe it could be our future. So, can science explain what really happens after we die? The truth is, While we've uncovered much about the physical process of death, the nature of consciousness remains a mystery. Science has theories, but many questions are still unanswered. Whether it's the body breaking down, near-death experiences, or the possibilities of digital immortality, death continues to be the ultimate frontier for human understanding. One thing is certain, our curiosity will never stop. As long as humans exist, we will continue searching for answers to life's biggest mystery. What happens after we die? What do you think happens after we die? Is it the end or the beginning of something new? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Together, we'll keep exploring the mysteries of life, death, and everything in between.